Hey, good morning, 738 on the link. Good morning, Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, Jack in the Box. It is Wednesday, 7:39. Going with the Minority Report. Senator Chris Duenas is standing by in the KUAM News Zoom room. Of course, when Bree gets back, I also want to talk about the latest developments in this murder case, as it appears, arguing about vaccination is what led to this tragic incident. Yeah, honestly, that's why I don't like debating anybody who's really like rabidly anti anything, because you just can't. I'm not even here to debate anyone anyway. But just be safe out there, guys. Be mindful of each other's opinions and respectful. 7:39, Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. Senator Chris Duenas and the Minority Report. Good morning, Senator.
Blvd, good morning, Chris and Bree and Jason. If you don't mind, I'd like to start out this morning with a birthday shout out.
Sure.
First of all, to my heavenly birthday to my late father, Ricardo Duenas, and also the Marine Corps, 246th birthday. And in honor of that, this morning, guys, you'll be seeing a release soon. Myself, along with Senator Tony Ada and Senator Frank Blaz, are introducing a bill to rename Route 3 to Ben Blaz Boulevard in honor of General Blaz. And so if anyone, is driving around and is trying to figure out, hey, how do we get to Camp Blaz? And you're on Route 1, either going south or going north, and you intersect Route 3, I'm praying that there'll be a big sign there saying Ben Blaz Boulevard, and can't miss it.
Well done.
Right on. And so
from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli.
Senator,
happy birthday, Marines.
Yep.
That's Route 3. That's GRMC, the road there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. So that big multi-lane left turn now.
Right. Yeah.
Going towards Anderson, but definitely gonna hit Camp Blaz before that. But yeah, so hopefully I'll get my colleagues' support, and that Route 3 will now become Ben Blaz Boulevard.
Well done.
We don't have many boulevards here on Island, right? Are there any other? I think Tizan, there's a couple in Tizan.
I think San Vitores is a boulevard.
San Vitores Boulevard. Okay.
Yeah.
I've always wondered what the differences are. Is it just like, are there any differences between like a boulevard, an avenue, a drive, a lane?
Yeah, I have to admit we're using a little bit of alliteration here. It will be a highway, right. But Ben Blaz Boulevard just sounds so much nicer. Boulevards are usually interior to cities and stuff like that, smaller, corners and lanes. But I'm hoping that we just use the Ben Blaz Boulevard, and then of course also known as Ben Blaz Highway. But I will admit we took a little liberty in the title to use some alliteration that I think it's just very fitting, but I think it'll be a very fitting tribute, and I think it's the right thing to do. Our armed forces made the decision, I think a very appropriate and very good decision, to name the Marine base as Camp Blaz, and of course on Guam, I mean, that's certainly our hero. I mean, first flag officer, his life story, going into veterans, first of all, Marine Corps birthday today, and then going into Veterans Day, his life story is just amazing. I mean, I was rewatching a video that was made. Maybe you guys can play it too. I'll send it to you, Chris. Just kind of, I know that Bob Klitsky, along with, I believe, Senator Blaz's dad, along with Phil Flores, and I think Dave Sablon was in there too, and they were just recounting at the governor's office the history. And it's a 7-minute video, not super long, but it just talks about really his humble beginnings, growing up as a war survivor, being a farmer. He's well known as a farmer, and then of course going off and achieving the highest level of becoming a general and our first flag officer, and then being a congressman. And just we think of all the amazing stories. We were just talking, I was having fun with you, Jason, before we started, talking about all of the different members of our family that are military. And, you know, what a great honor and what a great way to go into these next couple of days to really just honor our veterans. And, you know, we got so much going on Guam, but we got so many heroes amongst us. And so I just wanted to start with that, guys.
Well,
Okay, let's get into this.
well, I
go
was
ahead.
going to say real quickly, Senator, when the decision was made to actually name what's now, you know, the former NCS Camp Blas and everything, Nestor Lecanta, when I interviewed, of course, longtime KUM broadcaster, the general's son, Tom Blas, and he said his family was absolutely touched. I mean, that meant so much to them.
Tom is first class. I've
Yes.
always loved watching interviews with him. I mean, that guy he's his father's son. There's no question about it.
Yeah, remember? Do you remember Besita Guam?
Yeah.
I know. You know, I think between
Ben
him and Mark
Blaz.
Forbes, I think they competed for the lowest, most deep radio time.
And two things with the general and also with Tom and everything like that. You always have immense respect for the United States Marine Corps, and do not ever cheer for Alabama, because they are an Auburn family through and through.
All right, you done, Jay? Thank you. I wanted to get your comment, Senator, on this trip that the governor's taken to New York with her fiscal team. I just sent you the release that had come out about the trip. Were you satisfied that it provided enough information on the substance of this trip? Because when I read the release, it seemed pretty lacking on real tangible details. So what's your thought on that?
So I'm just getting that news and kind of trying to digest it. I think what's interesting is when we talk about our ratings, you know, actually a few weeks ago, the congressman had us sit down with an organization that basically talks about how to go about different approaches at you know, going out to the market for bonds and the different ways to kind of score the bonds and using you know, companies that actually do this and will put you in a good position. I wonder sometimes if this is kind of a competition to kind of you know, see who's more on top of what's going on for you know, making sure that we put Guam in the best position. But you know, I would like to see more detail, just like what you're talking about here. I mean, that seems like a pretty expensive trip for something that maybe could happen on Zoom. You know, here we are, you know, still, you know, in certain amount of restrictions on our island. Our businesses are trying to get out of the hole here. And yeah, I like you, I'll be looking for some more detail on this. As far as our ratings are concerned, when the congressman had that briefing for us a few weeks ago, and you know, maybe we can detail it some more in the next conversation we have, but you know, really it was very clear that when you look at the utilities and those entities which have their you know, their revenue source because of the fact that they're, you know, they charge for their service and the like, you know, they were all in the triple B minus investment grade. Of course, it was all the other, you know, bonds that really were more on the edge in terms of being just below investment grade. So I don't know what a visit is going to do to increase that confidence. And I don't know about the timing, Chris, because if you think about it, you know, maybe we should let a few quarters go by where we no longer have PUA and we no longer have FPUC and see the stabilization of, you know, our economy and how we're doing. Because in the end, any borrowing, particularly the impending borrowing of the Healthcare Center of Excellence as it's purported, as well as, you know, the new prison, and those things, obviously they have a dedicated funding source, so they should do pretty well on their own. You know, I really don't know at this point. It's all going to be based on how our economic outlook is. And without tourism, which I think we should be on the ground right now, Chris, working on making sure that those tourism companies get the money that they need. You know, in that latest report from the governor, I don't know that I saw any transfer from ARP that was in excess of what was originally transferred for GITA, for other programs. I have to go back and look again, but I don't know that that specific 25 million to try to help our struggling tourism companies, is there. And then they've asked the legislature to pass a bill, right now where there's no true funding source, but we're going to be good sports. We're going to trust that the governor, we're going to give her additional transfer authority. We're going to make sure that possibly is second in line behind tax refunds that are already committed. The Speaker put that amendment into the potential funding source, which is the 2021 surplus. So, Chris, we got a lot of work to do here, and I'd rather be working here at this point than basically anticipating ratings and trying to shop ratings. I don't know what we're shopping it on, so I'm a little curious along with you.
All right. I wanted to read this little part of the statement here. At the outset of this administration, she, the governor, stated she would only borrow to build or to make debt cheaper to the people of Guam.
I'm sorry, the last part of that, Chris?
At the outset of this administration, she, the governor, stated that she would only borrow to build or to make debt cheaper to the people of Guam. She adhered to this philosophy while concurrently holding the line on expenses while pushing out federal stimulus monies. But just that little part about she stated that she would only borrow to build or to make debt cheaper to the people of Guam. I mean, this release doesn't really tell us anything, and it's almost like with this administration you have to really read between the lines to figure stuff out. So with that just kind of like little implication that she said she would only borrow if, does that to you indicate that maybe the purpose of this trip is to, I don't know, shop a bond for the hospital or something? Because, I mean, as you can see, Senator, we're just left to guess with this communication.
We're left to guess, and Chris, that's lacking a little history, okay? Because let's go back and use some history here, okay? Governor Calvo went and had to erase the deficit of multi-year non-paid tax refunds. Now we're bragging about tax refunds, which it was the Calvo administration that made sure that we trued up. And then as we went forward, Chris, we ended up having a situation where the economy was stable and very strong, and then we had the Trump tax cuts. It was the legislature and the governor, Governor Calvo, who exercised fiscal discipline, shrunk the budget, and made sure that we balanced the budget and handed the governor a, yes, albeit a modest deficit because, and very much so because of the Trump tax cuts on the front end, which caused a major depletion of general fund revenues. Now going forward, I have to congratulate the 35th going into the 36th. Chris and Bree, it has been the legislature that has exercised fiscal discipline. We have passed budgets that have now, I believe, gone well over 100 million less than those budgets that the Calvo administration had to cut. And of course, we had to raise the BPT to 5%. And that was supposed to only be for 6 months and sunset. And it's been here now ever since. That has yielded the government of Guam $60+ million a year. Our congressman worked hard and with a lot of prodding from the legislature to make sure that we would get EITC reimbursements. The ATC now is raking in hundreds of millions of dollars for working families and families who need the money. Yes, there's fiscal stability, but this fiscal stability is on the back of over $3 billion that has come into Guam under federal sources. It is also because we refuse to reduce the BPT back to 4%, which is yielding us all this money on top of the other things that I just mentioned. I wish the governor would just, at some point, reach out to us and work with us and join us in celebrating these stabilizations, but also all the work we need to do going forward. I've never seen an individual be successful by not incorporating all the people around them who make their success. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Chris and Bree probably wouldn't be as successful individually as they are together. Let's really, going into this holiday season, when we say Thanksgiving's coming up and we celebrate Thanksgiving. Let's be thankful for all of those who are around us that have helped lay the groundwork for what we're doing going forward. You know, the borrowing that ever takes place, the road to borrow comes to the legislature. And I want to say, as far as I'm concerned, Congressman San Nicolas, members of the 35th, and now going into 36th, have been a huge part of where we are. The other side, though, guys, and this is what a lot of the Republicans have been talking about, it's not time to spike the ball and celebrate. Let's have at least 2 to 3 successive quarters without PUA and FPUC to see where we are. Let's make sure we've prepared tourism to be ready to rock and roll so that we have something to sell. I can't imagine being in New York right now and having the first question, okay, yeah, we're going to do some ratings for you. What's the outlook for tourism? Pretty bleak right now. What's the plan? Well, we're talking about subsidizing some of the businesses up to 50 million to make sure that they're there and their doors are open when tourists arrive to be able to go fishing, jet skiing, parasailing, go down to the Valley of the Lati, ride the Carabao, and everything else. Okay, wouldn't it have been nicer to go with that plan in hand? I guess that's my cursory review, and I don't know that this is the right time to do that.
Just tell us what you really think. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bree.
Good morning. I wanted to get your reaction to, well, it's not a plan, but the expenditure allocation for the ARP money, indicating 135 million was allocated.
Yeah, here's another thing where, you know, a lot of good faith could be built here. There could have been a lot more detail. I know that as I've reviewed it, I haven't seen, you know, a lot of information that I could say, okay, that was a good expenditure. I'll save a few things. Of course, you know, she yielded to the legislature's prodding to say, don't hold the line on the 30 million for the issue of you know, the funds under All Rise. So there's a few, you know, expenditures in there that are very solid and meaningful in terms of how our plan was going forward. But you know, I'll just pick one that I'm a little curious about. Almost $7 million on banking fees.
Credit card fees.
Now, I don't know, you know, I mean, if they've suspended charging banking fees for banking transactions within the government, then maybe I can understand that. I mean, maybe that would be a benefit if I went up and you know, had to transfer a vehicle and you know, I'm going to pay $1,000 because I bought a nice vehicle, a used vehicle, and you know, I used my card for it and there was no fees. That might be a benefit, but I would really like some more detail in an expenditure like that. So that's an example, Chris and Bree and Jason, that, you know, I mean, we asked for a report. This reminds me of when we went back to the issue of the procurement, you know, where there was the procurement that was emergency procurement, you know, no quotes or nothing. And you know, they gave us a spreadsheet that I have to go to UOG, you know, math class to be able to, or computer class to be able to, you know, digest. So, you know, just be straight with us. Give it to us straight, and then, you know, maybe you're not proud of that first capital outlay on the ARP plan, but then show us the rest, and it might make sense. Another thing is, and I look forward to getting the information from our congressman, is obviously the infrastructure bill has just passed, and I'm sure the president will sign it in our nation's capital. Now, this is the infrastructure bill, not the potential human infrastructure bill and all the additional spending. This should be the area whereby the $367 million or $347 million odd dollars are there that might be able to help build our hospital. If that's the case, Chris, Bree, and Jay, I'm calling right now on the governor to suspend or call for $300 million to be set aside for the hospital, because we're going to need that money for our people. We're going to need that money to stabilize our government going forward, and we're going to need that money perhaps for additional programs. And so with the infrastructure bill passed, when the president signs it, I'm sure there will be a release from our congressman, and we'll get some information. But if that's the case, I see no need to continue to hoard that 300 million at this point, and to actually make sure that we can work with her as the legislature did when we initiated our plan to do something and more for our people. One of the main program I'm going to continue to call for is infrastructure on Chamorro Land Trust property. You know, Senator Moylan has introduced a bill, I'm sure you'll be interviewing him soon, on opportunities for tax credits with regard to development. You know, and it goes down to the level of household development, you know, to try to reduce the amount of taxes on equipment and supplies and things that are spent, to try to bring the construction costs down, to try to move forward on affordable housing. There's so much to do, you guys, and I'll tell you, I just think that the people of Guam expect us to get to work and do our jobs.
I wanted to also follow up on Bill 216. It was scheduled for a public hearing next week, I think next Tuesday, but it was canceled. Do you know why?
Okay, so you're going to have to refresh.
Bill 216, it's your version, Senator Frank Blaz.
Yeah, the LEAP bill.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I don't know. I'm sorry. That's news to me. I didn't realize that was canceled. I don't know, but I gotta say, my immediate reaction is I'm very disappointed. I don't. You know, I know the chairman, Joe Snogstein, was very, supportive of that bill. So I'm gonna have to get back to you with more information. I didn't realize that was canceled. As a matter of fact, while Joe is off island, Senator Snogstein, our chairman, I actually pushed along the bill that's going to be heard today, the amendment for the Gold Star families. We have to amend that bill that was passed because there's a little bit larger footprint. So that bill will be heard at 1 o'clock today. I think Senator Ada is chairing that, and through Senator Pito Chalahi's committee. But I don't know why that was canceled, but I'm going to tell you my immediate reaction is very disappointed, because that has to happen. And unless the governor's changed their plan and is just going to go ahead and transfer the whole 50 million from ARP. Now, if that's the case, then that would be good news and I'd be happy.
And I guess for me, finally, your main takeaway from the briefing yesterday from Indo-PACOM?
Wow. I'll tell you once again, I guess I'm a fan of the congressman hat on right now. I'm glad that he invited us and prodded to have that meeting done, is because there was some very, very critical information in there. I'll tell you guys right now, and it's all unclassified information, but when we talk about, and I think Senator Moylan talked about this yesterday too, when we talk about the issues of North Korea, talk about China, we talk about Russia. China is just really, it's almost mind-boggling, really, in terms of their advancement in military capabilities over the last 2 decades. It's a serious concern, and I'm really, really glad. I walked away realizing how dangerous a part in the world we live in terms of that briefing, but I also walked away very confident that our military, our federal government, our U.S. government is on top of it and it's got our best interest. I was also happy to say that they're not advancing the military complex. They would love to do less if they could, but looking at those threats, it's real. And they all, United States government, the military does also, within intergovernmental, promote more economic opportunities, better, economic relations to kind of quell any potential military actions. But the threat is real, and also where they're working in places where they never used to work. You see, relationships with Vietnam, with countries that were, strong adversaries before. And the whole reason behind that is because the region needs to be stable for economic development. And these are tigers that are emerging. And so really with a strong economy and a strong, region, that balances that issue, but they have to have their footprint in so many different areas now too. So while I was concerned, I still remain confident.
Did they provide any?
We're going to have to jump over, guys. Sorry, Bree. It's the top of the hour, 8:03, Wednesday, November 10th on the Breeze side. We're KUAM FM and Nagatni Guam, KUAM TV. We're brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. Get ready. Here comes another episode of The Link. Good morning. Good morning, Guam. Welcome back. It is 8:03 Pacific Points. Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box on this hump day, November 10, 2021, in progress with the Minority Leader, Senator Chris Duenas. He's talking about a presentation that was given to senators and mayors yesterday from Indo-PACOM, which is the Indo-Pacific Command of the military, and they basically laid out just how much of a threat China is to the region, which I was surprised because Bree was looking at that report yesterday, and while we hear a lot about the Guam killer missile and whether or not it could reach Guam, we know that they've had some very publicized tests. This report basically said that they could nuke us right now. Right now. Like, we could be nuked right now by China.
I wanted to ask whether or not during the briefing that you guys had with Indo-PACOM, if they provided any sort of update on the construction, the possible location of the Aegis shore system, and progress on the Pacific Deterrence Initiative, the PDI.
Yeah, there was a lot of course, like I said, the briefing, everything that was on the slides and all of the question and answer session was, all the briefing documents and presentation was unclassified. Whenever we got into those areas, it was a little bit more teetered on the classified, but they certainly said that the defense systems and build-up regionally is ongoing and quite large. They talked quite a bit about the cyber activity capabilities. When you look at the like I said, what was astonishing is when you look a little bit over 20 years ago, they had a shaded area of the map in terms of the capability going back to China and just their range. And I mean, it was basically limited to, maybe 100 miles offshore or so from their entire coastline and other region of activity, right, overall. And that shaded area in 20 years just creeped. Wow. I mean, it is so immense at this point. Now, the briefing was that they're still primarily a regional and coastline power, but air and sea, wow. It is such a change that you could see. But Bree, I think our buildup in that area really is because they still view, the type of warfare as non-conventional at this point. And because there was a lot of discussion about the issue of Taiwan, right? And you look at, opportunity versus, long-term planning, right? In terms of how they look at if you look at some of their ability and their work to acquire islands, to spread their sort of sea power footprint and things like that. And then other, areas such as Taiwan. I mean, it really is a balance between what is an opportunity, meaning would there be a government, change that would provoke something, or whether it would be a longer term plan. So there's time to work on all this stuff, but it certainly is. I walked out of there realizing that, this beautiful paradise we live in and the day-to-day living we have really is under constant threat. So enjoy the sun and fun and the weather and family and friends and holidays and the love, but be aware that the military's positioning is not to provoke, it's to defend. It really is a peace through strength mission. I did ask a question going back to where you are, Bree. Build up one for Guam. Of course, we knew that was a huge footprint and was was pared down. I know that briefings that I had in the Camacho administration under Build Up 1, the proposal to, to scale down was a recognition of, just the issues internally within the island, but also the fact that there was already that shift, even, 10, 12 years ago, that we need to be more regionally focused. And, I know the forces have gotten stronger in Australia. Those relationships have gotten stronger. Of course, it was classified to say where else they are, but certainly for what you were leaning towards, Bree, it is in places where, where normally probably wouldn't be suspected. So they're extremely active, they're extremely agile. And so that's, like I said, while there was a great deal of concern, there really is a great deal of information that they're on the job.
Okay. Yeah, it's just, you see and you read all these articles about Guam and how important Guam is, how we need to defend Guam. We're working on this architecture, we're working on this Aegis shore system, the PDI, and so it just would be nice, or it is nice that finally somebody from Indo-PACOM actually briefed Guam about what they can say.
Absolutely. For our people, right? Because I know that we have a lot of internal, thoughts. And like I said, going into Marine, birthday, Veterans Day, we have a lot of thoughts because a lot of our families serve, and a lot of our family are frontline heroes when it comes to defending our nation. But we also want to protect our environment. We want to protect our island. We want to protect our way of life. What I took away from that, guys, is, whether we had the forces here that we have or we didn't, we are, it would be a reverse game. I mean, they would be coming for us, because if you really look at the expansion, you look at what has happened with the map and the globe within the Indo-Pacific. I believe we're very fortunate to be part of the American family.
All right. Have you heard anything about the ship coming in with these 5,000 sailors?
The Carl Vinson.
Is it here
It
already?
was a release in the chat.
Oh, we just got it.
Yep,
All right.
just got it.
That's breaking news to me.
Breaking news: the USS Carl Vinson is coming. 5,000,
Right.
nearly 5,000
Hey,
sailors.
Bree, you weren't here when I broke the news that myself and Tony Ada and Frank Blaz Jr. are introducing a bill, Ben Blaz Blvd. So about 3 introduced today.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually heard it on
she
the radio. I'm
she
always
listens.
locked into,
Okay,
the links.
Is it your favorite? Is it your favorite show, Bree?
It's my favorite show.
Right on. Me too. We have that in common.
Hey, but was I right that either one of you wouldn't be as good by yourself than you are together?
I would be totally lost in here without Sabrina.
Aye.
Breaking news, I've seen that.
Right. Thank you, Senator.
All
Take
right,
care.
you guys have a great day and enjoy your holiday as well. Thanks for this opportunity.
Of course.
Stay
Right on.
healthy.
Yeah. Senator Chris Duenas. You know what, Bree? Someone sent me an email, and it was basically a link to this. There's this Treasury, and I think Speaker Terlahi had mentioned this, is that the states and the territories, I believe, are, they are obligated to be reporting to Treasury their